with these little fingers for grasping at the end. I'm going to just move quickly. I'm just going to move into another position. Just in case we're sitting on some fruits that he wants. Hello, Patty. I haven't had a question from Patty for a while. Patty wants to know if we know why that baboon was on its own. And we'll try and move up towards Gari Dam in a short while, see if we can catch up with it. I think it was the same one that was behind us. I wouldn't be able to tell you, Paddy. I haven't the faintest idea why it would be on its own. The rest of the troop might be around. The long grasses will conceal them. They might be well spread out this afternoon. Hey, Tex.
Yeah, I don't know. Can I join you?
Yeah, you're welcome. But it looked like it was heading down towards, between Yuri and Inga's house. Might have gone down towards Jimmer Waterhole Cam. And so we will go and have a look in a short while. We'll go and see if we can follow up on it. The Gari gang, the trooper baboon, the local trooper baboons that we have, has somehow split up in some way. We're not seeing as many baboons as usual. Akukho amashweshi. Well, with the game drive vehicle having just arrived, I think what we'll do is we'll wander off and leave the guests to enjoy this wonderful sight. See if we can go and find that baboon and follow up on some other things too. We'll leave him be. He's not going very far. This baboon is actually here. It's inside Yuri's garden with other baboons. So Paddy, just to let you know, the baboon is not on its own. The rest of the troop is here. We can't really show them. They're inside a fence, and I don't really like showing fences at all. So I'm afraid, because they're in a private garden, we're going to have to leave them be for the time being. It's a bit of an invasion of privacy, both for the baboons and for the people who live there. So just one of those things. It just goes to show, so many times we find animals, or we see an animal on its own, and we so often get the question, why is it on its own? And we never really know the circumstances. And 9 times out of 10, it's because the rest of the group are out of sight, as in this case. But generally speaking, it's not that unusual, and it's not that strange to find an animal on its own, especially when you're sort of observing it for one moment of its life, that it is alone. You don't know whether it is permanently alone or whether it is just a temporary thing. I think we'll make our way down Twin Dams Road, all the way to Twin Dams. I want to see the crocodile. Anybody want to see a crocodile? Let's go and find a crocodile. Crocodilius niloticus. Wildebeest here. Yeah, not them, they're impala, but just below us on the left when we turn the corner will be the wildebeest clan. Hello impala. Hello boys. Boys and girls. Here we go.
Yeah, what is the route?
I think I'll take Twin Dams Road all the way down to Twin Dams. Okay, copy. It's just you out today.
Okay.
Is it only you out today?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, copy. Yeah, all Concordia down here at the dam wall.
Okay, I'm looking for England to come here.
And some of the youngsters behind some trees. I believe there's a new one. Should take the total up to 7 youngsters now. Back to 7, I should say. All of them very busy feeding. So I think we'll move on. We'll glance at the youngsters in the creche group as we go by. Animals are busy feeding. They're not behavior-wise, they're not doing much other than feeding. That'll change later on in the afternoon. I think while we've got this kind of a condition, or these conditions, we'll drive around, look for tracks, might find an area we need to be at when the sun starts going down. Just in case there's some cats to see. And this is a good road to start. It's a north-south road, quite central in the property. That will give us a fair idea of what's maybe moved east-west. Oh, Franklins, you'd think that I was throttling you. Oh, we just missed a bee to that flew away. dwarf mongoose in the road, running away. Sadly, pretty long grasses here, so if there's a group of dwarf mongoose, we're not likely to see them very well. All these grasses. To sold grocery stores in the States. I very much doubt it, Cheryl. Marula fruit's not really sold here as fruit. Not the kind of fruit that you really could sell because it doesn't have a flesh that comes off of the stone. You've actually got to suck the juices out of it, so there's not really that much in the fruit. What might be sold are the nuts themselves. Now inside, once we get to a marula tree, find you a marula fruit. I can try to show you a cross section of it. And there are a lot of marula to make anything. Getting the pulp out of it. In this country we have the most common product of the marula fruit is a marula beer. That round about now you should be finding them on the side of the roads. You can buy a 2-liter bottle of fermented marula beer for, I don't know, 10, 15 rand. Almost the same price as a Coca-Cola. Tastes like cold drink, kicks like a liqueur. It's very strong. Impala. I wonder if they're frogging. Impala here at Chelapan. There's something else. I can see a big grey shape at the back there. Something else. Rhino! Wow, 4 of them. They must be frogging too. They must have got the news that there's good frogging here at Chelapan. So just for those of you who joined me last night, this is where we were, wandering around this in the dark, catching frogs. Just want to tell Texan. Texan, come in. I got you on combi. I have your Onkombi at Chelapan. We're stopping at a bit of a distance for the time being, partly so we can incorporate some of these impala in the shot as well, because it's quite a nice view looking down onto the rhino, rubbing against that little jackalberry next to the water and splashing around with these impala in the foreground. I will go closer. We'll try and get a better view in a minute. Very dense vegetation, very dense bush around us. Opens up a little bit as we go down towards Twin Dams, a little bit of grassland there. Behind the rhino it's quite thick going down into the riverbed, so we're going to see if we can get closer to them. We do know this crash of 4, sometimes there's 5 in this group. One of them is a rhino that has been given the nickname Levani. leaves in his ear. Give you a little bit of a scale there. And the rhino are some distance away from the other side of the water from these impala, but they can give you a little bit of an idea of the size of the rhino in comparison to the size of these impala. Okay, Kat, let's go around the side and see if we can get a closer view of these rhinos. They seem to be wallowing. They might be coming into the water. There's one looks like it's lying down now. No, he's just standing so deep in the water. That's what it is. I don't think they're going to stick around too much. No. Sneak in here near them. Hello, boys and girls. Maybe it's my imagination, but this youngster with the floppy ear looks like he's getting bigger. He's grown since we first saw him over a year ago, or more. He's just behind some buffalo thorn. He should come out into the open for us in a minute or so. Rubbing his horn on the tree. And this wet season, the base of the horn gets very furry, almost velvety. And they're constantly rubbing their horns. Startled at that other rhino at the back. I don't know if that's the fourth one or that might be the fifth one. Coming around the back of the pan. Judging by the heavy breathing I'm getting on this side of the pan, I think it might be another rhino. I don't know where the... I guess it could be the fourth one. But they must have heard him. I didn't hear a thing, but these rhino must have heard him, because before we even saw it, one rhino in the water turned quite sharply in the direction, and it was only after that that I saw that rhino coming out of the bushes. He might have been the fourth one with this group, and he's just gone around this big leadwood, clump of leadwood and bush willow and guarri. And here he is coming towards them now. But his feet didn't seem wet, and all four of them here looked like they had wet feet. That almost looked like a push me, pull you. Animal with a head at both ends. From Dr. Doolittle, where they were standing. Still uncertain, this rhino. New cool. Adding a boreal marking. Actually talking to themselves with this huffing and puffing. Like the fourth one coming out of the bushes now. That's Ndlevani, his face now. Still think that maybe there is a fifth one here. Because this one that's now coming out of the water, the one that we're looking at now, is the one that arrived from the back of the pan and has come through the water. Let's see if they have a bit of a greeting, these two. Is forward in interest. Looks like it wants to greet the other rhino, but it's holding back for some reason. Okay, now that they're all in the water, I think we need to go back to the other side so we can see them better, because we now don't have a very good view of them. And if we go back to the other side of the pan, a bit of jostling and pushing and shoving there. Perhaps not. Perhaps we stay where we are for now. Quite incredible. There's several tons of rhino that are facing us right now. Hello, boys. I can see what's going on here. There's a small gap between myself and this guarri bush. One of them has, but the other two are a little bit nervous. It's also unusual because we have had this rhino come right up to the vehicle. Now, I'll possibly startle them more by trying to move, but they could also go around the bush. But I can see they want to come through. I think he's just going to crash through anyway. Come, old man. Sit quietly. Come on. Come on. No, he doesn't trust us. I'm going to have to try and move back a little bit. Give him a bit of space. There we go. That should be fine now. Bless you, cat. You're allergic to rhino. A lot more at ease. Well, not really. But yes, that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to come past. Ah, there's number 5 behind us. The female. I thought there was a 5th one. That's possibly another reason for their behavior, was the fact that I'm sitting in between these 4 boys and that one female. Gonna move away from her. She's coming through the bushes behind us, so she'll join up with them. So this is a group of, the group of 5 is back together. The last time I saw them, only 4 of them were here. Only one of the bulls that wasn't. I think this young female's always with them. She's coming through on the left. Oh, not, it's a bull, and he's angry. Oh, that's got his leg pulled up on. Okay, there's pandemonium has just broken out. Got rhino running amok all around us. And the radio's going mad. Wow. That bull came out of the bushes and injured this other bull quite badly. Oh, he's got a couple of bad gashes in his face now. That wasn't a play fight, folks. That's why they're nervous. There's been probably something's been going on for a while now. He's now got his face tucked into a tree. And that's going to probably smart a little bit. That clash, there was that initial clash. I don't know if we managed to get that, but that initial clash was pretty intense. And I thought it was the female that's with this group, but it wasn't. This 5th one is another bull that came out of nowhere. And these other 4 have been huffing and puffing and communicating with each other. This other 5th one came out quite suddenly and quietly, and just laid into that bull at the back there. Hopefully he's grazing now. Hopefully we'll get to see him again, but at the moment he's behind the bush. Looks like he got 2 pretty bad knocks to the face. And as he was chasing the other bull off, he got his horn underneath his foot and actually could have been goring him in the groin at the time, I don't know. But the other rhino's back leg was hung over his horn. These others are a little bit excited now. They're huffing and puffing. There's one thing to sit quietly with them and have them come up to the vehicle, and you know that there's several tons of animal that can move very fast and violently at any moment, and so unexpectedly. And nothing is truer than what we've just seen now. That shows you how situation can change so fast. He's coming around the back of the bush. The other three are quite wary of him now. He's rubbing his face on the stick where that horn got him. It's on the right side of the face between the two horns. One gash is just below the eye. And that looks like that could have gone quite deep. His adrenaline must be pumping right now. So is mine, by the way. These others are keeping a little bit of a distance from him. They're backing up away from him. Either they're worried that he might lash out at them. It's possible because they're smelling blood. Possible they can smell the aggression that just went on. He's got another gash in his neck. Small one. It's a puncture wound. I think that's shorthorn. That is shorthorn. That is not normally part of this group, that bull. Being the territorial bull, they've been giving him a wide berth, so I think he's just had it out with that other bull, that other bigger bull. Incredible. That was something else entirely. You know, the other three have moved off. There's something going on behind us. One of these bulls, I think it must be the bull that was having the fight, suddenly ran through Chelapan onto the other side, probably to get away from Shorthorn. Yeah, now all four of them, you see they're trying to keep away from Shorthorn. All four of them are now on the other side of the pen. And the rhino bull that we know of as Shorthorn must be just to the east of us. We're going to go around that side now. We'll try and see things from that angle. Wow. A little bit of excitement. Rhino can be such placid animals. This is one of those moments that there's a little bit of tension in the air. There is obviously a dispute going on. And rather than get stuck in that thick bush, they've come out into the open again. Of course, the impala are oblivious to all of this. The impala has nothing to do with the impala. They're still grazing quite peacefully. Obviously, they can hear the commotion. They must be aware of what's going on in this commotion. But none of them really taking much of a defensive line. They're not worried. It doesn't concern them. Harmacorp here as well. So I wonder which one of these four it was. I think it must be that 1 second from the left. I'm not sure. Whichever one it was that had that scrap now has obviously come off better. I think it's the one on the far right, come to think of it. Very confusing. It's almost as though they're herding the impala now. Just on my right is a hamakop frogging in a little pond next to the road. And for those of you who are joining us late, welcome to Wild Earth Safari. My name is Mark. Kat is on camera with me, and the impala is curious about the hamakop, but then the hamakop moves and gives the impala a fright. Don't catch my frogs, they're mine, leave them alone. Yes, fly away. I'm going to Twin Dams and catch frogs there. So we arrived here at Chelapan. For those of you who weren't here for this excitement, sorry, Kat, just going to move while I'm talking to you. We arrived here to find 4 rhino in the water. They weren't wallowing yet. Looked like they were trying to settle down. They did seem a little nervous, backwards and forwards. We followed them to the back of Chelapan, and the 5th rhino came out of the bushes and moved his way through them. I don't know, I was kind of confusing because there was a time when I could only see 3 of them, and I wasn't too sure whether there were 4 or 5. But when I found them at the other side of the pan, on the eastern side of the pan, a few minutes later, all 4 of them, I then found a 4th one, or rather the 5th one, coming along behind us. And as it came behind us and around to our left, it just tore into this group of 4. And there was quite a commotion. There was a fight. One of these bulls with that 5th bull that I think is shorthorn, the rhino that we've been seeing a lot of. Sorry, impala. It's actually quite pretty. Look at all the colour of these impala in the green. It's quite pretty in the grasses. But there was a clash. A monumental clash and a bit of a fight. 3 of them tried to sort of get out of the way. 2 of them were in a bit of a dispute. And the 5th rhino who had come in late, somehow he got to be the worse off. He sustained a couple of jabs to his face and neck. 3rd one to the neck. And I'm guessing that he's maybe crossed through onto Vulture's Nest, Nyala Road South. If it is, he's heading up towards Biffles, or he might be heading up towards Twin Dams. He has a particular route that he follows. But that's a guess. Who knows? We might see him up ahead of us. But 4 of them are here now. They've decided to come out into the open more than stay in that thicker bush where they were ambushed. There was a lot of huffing and puffing before it happened, and then as they were clashing there was a lot of squealing. Rhino have this very high-pitched squeal. Just by the way, if you have a look at this one that we've got in front of us, this bull, just on its right flank, just behind its right elbow. It has quite a scar. Now that would have been, now you can see it in the sun a lot better. That was probably a horn that got him, almost probably could have punctured a lung maybe if it was, but that would add injury. And he'll on it, he'll roll in the mud and put his face in the mud, and that'll help it heal. But we will be able to monitor him over the next weeks. We'll be able to see how he's going. It's not a very bad injury. The one injury that looks bad was just below the eye, and that might be painful in a day or two. But these four, none of them seem to be injured. I can't tell which of these four it was. It wasn't Floppy Ear and Levani, the one bull that has a collapsed cartilage in his ear. And I don't think it was that smaller one. I think that's the female, the smaller one in the middle. Maybe she's coming to estrus. Maybe her estrus pheromone is exciting the bulls. I would have thought maybe that if that was the case, though, then these three bulls wouldn't be so amicable towards each other. And the different types of flies. I can't really see them. I was just looking at them with my binoculars now. A number of different types of flies on him. Two of them biting horse flies. But I don't think nearly as irritating as the oxpeckers can be sometimes. Rhino that we have on the left is the rhino that was fighting. He's got blood on his nose. I don't think it's his blood. I think it might be the blood from the other one. And just as I thought, his left back leg as well got a little bit of blood on it, because that was the leg that was hooked up on the other rhino's horn. So he's the one that was engaged in that brawl. A little bit of a scratch there that you can make out, but most of that little hole that he has there is covered with flies. Oxpeckers are taking the opportunity to have a dust bath, sand bath, while the rhino aren't moving far. As the rhino is standing still, the oxpeckers can have a quick sand bath themselves. Quite a common thing for birds to do in the late afternoons. Important element of their personal hygiene. They've been out all day, either on animals or with animals moving through the bush. There are a number of parasites that they'll pick up themselves, including things like feather mites, which can damage their feathers. And by having a bath in the sand like that, they're actually able to rid themselves of some of those parasites. And we should see bulls and a bunch of starlings, a bunch of other birds will be doing the same in the next hour or so. And back to their hosts. So let's move on. Let's see if we can get past this roadblock and head down towards Twin Dams again. So far been a phenomenal afternoon. Lovely big elephant bull, now some rhino. Let's see what else is on the cards. If I can get through the roadblock, that is. getting angry with me. Okay, I'll stop. Bye, boys and girls. Hope you're gonna calm down. Leave them in peace. Tammy, no, I don't believe I said blowflies. I said there are a number of different flies, including some of the biting horse flies. Blowflies, well, I guess they could be. Blowflies are more carrion eaters. Tammy wanted to know if flies lay their eggs on the rhino, would the larva hatch and eat the flesh? No, not really. I mean, if there's a wound, that rhino that had that very nasty scar on its flank, just behind its right elbow, that kind of a wound could have maybe got septic. It could have maybe gotten quite inflamed at some time, and perhaps maggots could get in there. The maggots would eat the dead flesh more than any living flesh. That's one of the reasons why in surgery nowadays, for some applications, doctors will encase maggots in a bandage so that they can eat away all the dead flesh of a patient. As gross as it sounds, you don't really feel it much because, once again, it's all the dead flesh. And once they eat away the dead flesh, the doctor can then treat that living tissue. And it's a lot better than scraping away dead flesh or dead cells from a wound. Thanks, Tammy. Tammy's saying that she found land turtles, I mean terrapins, with holes in them that have maggots in them eating at the flesh. Well, interesting. I must look into that. Possible. There are fly larvae that do all sorts of things, like burrowing through the nasal cavity into the lungs. Larvae that can get into the brain. And Tammy wanted to know if the oxpeckers will eat the flies. I've seen them actually do that. I've seen the oxpeckers sitting on buffalo and catching flies. Sticking to my plan and going down to Twin Dam. I'll have to think about where we go for after that. stations leaving Lock of 4 Combi south of Chelapan, 1 Combi heading on to Vulture's Nest, heading east. No, didn't get anything. See if we can zoom in on the water. Flowing quite slowly now. This is the water that comes out of Treehouse Dam and flows into the Mulwati. But some interesting insects. Swimming on the surface of this little bit of water. You can see the very fine ripples that they cause. A very interesting beetle. It's called a whirligig beetle. Had no points for guessing why it's called a whirligig beetle as they whirl around on the surface of the water. But as they dart backwards and forwards, they create water waves, and they hunt with those water waves in much the same way that a bat hunts with echolocation using sound waves. And by sending out those vibrations on the surface of the water, that's why they bump into each other, because they pick up the vibrations of there and then they go get what in effect lands a bouncing wave coming back at them from something on the water, and they'll know how to, well, they'll then deal with it. But what's interesting about these beetles, like many of the aquatic insects that we have, not talking of the insect larvae that live in water, but of the adult insects that live on or in water, they're very ungainly on land. They have evolved, they have adapted to this aquatic environment in such a way that on land they are clumsy, having limbs that are more conducive to an aquatic environment, but they still have wings. So they're able to fly, they're able to go from the air to the water and water to the air, yet they're not able to land on the ground and operate on the ground. They flop around like a fish out of water. What's even more interesting about these beetles is their eye is divided into two parts. Their big compound eye. Half of the eye sees underwater and half of the eye sees above water. And of course it has to be a slightly different composition of the eye. Interesting beetles. Whirligig beetles. As a kid I used to sit and watch them for hours. It was like having little radio controlled boats that you didn't have radio control over. And you didn't have to put batteries in them. They just keep going for hours and hours. They were my toys, they're still my toys. And excuse me beetles, and I'm causing big waves. Now they're surfing. See, actually what they do is they buzz around in circles waiting for a vehicle to come along, and as soon as the vehicle comes along they line themselves up, catch a quick wave, and then they buzz around until the next vehicle comes along. Surfer beetles. What do you get when you cross the Beach Boys and the Beatles? Surfer beetles. That's not funny, Mark. Approaching Twin Dams. There were some elephant tracks on the road. I'm thinking it might, it looks like elephant dung up ahead maybe. Thinking it might be that elephant that's up on quarantine, on the open area near camp. Egyptian geese flying off. Oh, what was that? Sort of. Carry. Are there any baobab trees? Not this far south, Carrie. Baobab trees. The southernmost baobab tree is somewhere near Satara in the Kruger National Park. We're a couple of degrees too far south for baobab. There's an impala on the edge of twin dams. I want to see if there's crocodiles around. There's some crocodile food on the edge of the water. Lovely silhouette, or rather reflection of this impala. I think that crocodile is a little bit too small to take an impala though. Only about a 6, maybe 8 foot croc. Who knows? There is a baobab here in camp. It's mine. It's in a pot. It's a bonsai baobab. Of course, the water's too shallow this end for the crocodile to conceal itself. Just to digress slightly. The impala wasn't in much danger. And just outside Hoedspruit, there are a couple of baobabs that are also this, some of the southernmost baobabs. So it's only really from this latitude going north. Bless you. Let's see if we can cruise up to the dam and see if we can find this reptile. No, not seeing him. Him or her. Very difficult to tell the sex of a crocodile by looking at its face, the top of its head above water. If it was here. The fact that I'm seeing it doesn't mean that it's not here. Could be in the reeds, could be submerged. Oh, gosh, that gave me a fright. Stick that broke. Okay, sorry geese. I'm going to disturb the geese, so let's not go forward. I'm not seeing our reptile friend. But it does travel between bodies of water. That could be at Baboon Pan, could have moved on somewhere else. magnificent big elephant bull over at Baboon Pan. I wonder if he's our friend Ngoti. He's the culprit. How are you? Very good, thanks. Great, thanks. Oh, he's a magnificent bull. Gosh, I haven't seen an elephant this size in a long time. Could be Ngodi, I don't know. It's twice the size of the bull we had earlier. We can't go very much further than this, I'm afraid. We'll get a brief look of him. Gosh, he's gorgeous. There's two nicks out of the left ear. I think this is Ngodi. Just on the other edge of Baboon Pan. Or just this side of him is where Baboon Pan is. We can't see the water, the grasses are a bit long. He's right at that vehicle, so I think he's intimidating that young guide a little bit. We just missed him. While we were watching the rhino, he must have been here at Twin Dams. And he's in full must. Judging by the dribbling coming out, his penis is dribbling. I didn't manage to see his temporal glands because he's got a lot of mud on his face. But that's one of the biggest elephants we get in this area. And he's moving south away from us, unfortunately. Beautiful carmine bee-eaters. It's not the greatest place to view them, but it's one of the only places one will see them. And I can get that up that high on the telephone wire. That's not, I mean the power line, sorry, not the telephone wire. Very typical perch of the carmine bee-eater. In parts of the world where there are telephone wires or power lines, I'd rather sit there. It's a lot more open. They get to see not only what's flying above them, but what's flying below them too. Whereas if they were sitting in a tree, of course, they wouldn't see much below them. Oh, just caught something in the air and flew away. Here's another one further up ahead. As with all the bee-eaters, they tend to catch insects in mid-air, hunting from a perch. See, that one's actually sitting in a leadwood, but it's sitting in the shade. We won't get to see it too well. There's another one. I hope this colour comes through. It's probably one of the prettiest birds. Really beautiful colour. This is the southern carmine. You do get a northern carmine. The carmines you get up in East Africa that have a... oh, it's flown away as well. They're camera shy. The carmines up in East Africa have a completely blue head, whereas these only have a blue cap. Wow. And a youngster. That's spelled C-A-R-M-I-N-E, carmine. And the Milwaukee is still flowing. Quite incredible. Causeway's damaged. Let's take Leadwood Road. See what other wonderful things we can discover. A frog. A squirrel. Oh, acrobatic squirrel. Oh, you got him still. The second one here. Okay, I was looking for. It's gone into the back of that quarry now. Unfortunately. It would be nice if it stayed in that bush willow right next to the road. But squirrels are shy. Taxi coming? Take, come in.
That's Mark coming.
Hey, Abel.
So I'm sorry.
Yeah, there was 4 just south of Telepan making their way slowly towards Spaghetti Junction. There was one Nkombi that moved east towards Vulture's Nest. Okay, there was also one in Glove on quarantine, and I've just seen one in Glove, one Makula in Glove crossing over at Baboon Fan, but lost the visual. He was heading south. Anything else been picked up today? Sorry, what's the log for them? Okay, that's a good catch on for me. Thanks, Uncle. Okay. Hi, Ellen. Ellen in Illinois. We just should call it Illinois. New state altogether. Illinois. Ellen wanted to know the difference between elephant and rhino and hippo tracks. I just need to pick something up.